Gosh, Trophy. I mean, the main thing I remember about Trophy was that we'd been playing it live quite a bit and it had this really low MIDI bass, dun, 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 and it's just that a beat vocal and then strings that come in and out, which was kind of this similar palette to a lot of the songs. And but I'd asked Josh T. Pearson from Lift to Experience to come in, and he rocked up in his cowboy hat and rhinestones and like pointy boots and like mad blue eyes and a wizened beard, and came in and just, I really loved his voice and I loved his guitar playing, but he only came for like a day or two, I think, and he put down an amazing guitar part on Trophy, like really kind of unhinged and kind of screaming guitar, and then added to those "Heaven is a feeling I get," such a low backing vocal that I could barely reach. And so we had the idea of getting him to add his like Texan drawl singing, preacher man kind of singing to that. And it was really nice because the album, it was really nice to have a male voice in certain parts. Like he also sang on Seal Jubilee, and just having that kind of counterpart voice, because it's such a feminine sounding record, I think. But the darker songs, I really enjoyed having, more grungy guitars and stuff. I didn't want it to be slick guitar. Having come from like loving Nirvana and Sonic Youth and stuff, he sort of brought a bit of that careening off the road kind of feeling, and he felt like that as a person as well, a bit unhinged but lovely. And I kind of enjoyed his energy on the record. It was quite different to anything else other people were contributing, don't you think, David?
I mean, for somebody turning up, probably, I think it was less than 2 days he was there, a day and a half of studio time, maybe. He made a big impact, and he brought a sort of an edge to things, but he made us try even harder, because he bowled up with a sort of confidence in his coolness. There was just something, there was a vibe about him that was a little intimidating, and we wanted to look good, and make best use of what he could bring.
The 44, oh, so much less than it was worth, and every man that touched it found a heaven on earth. Heaven is the feeling I get in your arms. Heaven is the feeling I get in your arms. Heaven is the feeling I get in your arms. Heaven is the feeling I get in your arms.
There were lots of things about those opening two songs that felt like we were essentially capturing the live set. I remember going to see Natasha play in Brighton way before we made the record, and those two really stood out, Horse and I and Trophy. And essentially what you're hearing there is not a million miles from what I heard at the gig, but things like Josh bringing that guitar and you can hear the metallic strings, and you can hear this gravel and the weather noises on Horse and I. All these elements elevated it from being essentially like what you get if a band plays live and then just tracks a live record. It became something much more than that as soon as we added these amazing sort of extra musicians and sounds. And there was lots of luck as well. I'd just bought an incredible old vintage guitar amp. Yeah, I bought an amazing 1961 Selma guitar amp.
Oh yeah.
I think a couple of weeks before we began the record, and it was an amazing find, and I still got it. I was using it today in the studio, and it's just the most incredible atmosphere machine. And that one guitar amp, the sound of that amp
over everything,
so much percussion sounds through it, vocals through it, not just guitars or pianos through it. It was a push button machine called a selector tone, and you push a button and it gives you a very specific sound that worked for some things and not others. And it really it brought an enormous amount.
The queens and the court jesters clapped, adored. Their hearts swelled to overdrive, mercy soared. Mercy this and mercy that, let justice prevail. But I just want my trophy back, it's not for sale. Heaven is the feeling I get in your arms. Heaven is the feeling I get in your arms.
I think I had a very healthy suspicion of the record industry and kind of selling my soul to the devil at the crossroads, you know, like this feeling of monetizing something that I had inherently carried inside of myself since I was a little girl. And so the lyrics that, you know, the trophy that I made for us in fur and gold got into the wrong pair of hands and truth was sold. It's about something becoming a commodity that to me was so precious. And it's about, you know, when I first moved into the record industry and became professional and signed my deal, I really struggled with this idea that of being commercial, of selling out, of taking money for like my wares, you know, and I felt that I was so sensitive about it. I didn't want anything to be taken. I didn't want to upset the gods, you know, like there was some feeling. And creatures of mercy, shoot them down and set me free. Like, what was it? Like the queens and the court jesters clapped, adored. You know, it's all like this sort of the emperor's clothes, you know, like this idea that you go on stage and everyone's just adoring it and they want it and they want you, and it's kind of vampiric and so yeah, that song is just like a little warning to myself about what I was getting into, I suppose.
I wonder how we captured that sort of naivety as well. That there's a childlike quality to all this stuff. Just thinking about you talking about the kings and queens, and there's a sort of clapping sound through it, and there's a sort of nursery rhyme quality and a slight sort of grim fairy tale quality to all these songs. And I know we were trying to capture that, but I don't feel like we agonized over how to actually do it.
Well, I do think it was inherent. It was already there, I feel like, for songs like that, because I'd been listening a lot to the Langley School's music project, like this 70s album of little kids singing all like David Bowie songs and stuff. And I'd been reading kind of Women Who Run With the Wolves. And I'd been, you know, I was kind of, it's really hard to describe like what particular sound made it feel fairy tale, because it was kind of like in the blood of everything. And so every choice we made, even though we didn't necessarily talk about that we didn't say we wanted that, but it was just that whatever sonically sounded right had this naive sort of, like not overthought and sort of quite charming.
There's an innocence
dark,
to it.
Innocent,
it doesn't feel, it doesn't feel like a particularly knowing record or a knowing sound. It feels like it's almost like a discovery that children have made, you know, like a sort of picnic at Hanging Rock kind of discovery record.
And even the claps on that, they weren't we didn't sync them up perfectly and put them through, you know, like chop them up and all of that. All the claps were kind of like just me layering claps over the top of each other. And sometimes they're out of time and they're further away or closer. And it kind of gives this, not shambolic, but there's
a looseness to it.
Yeah.
I've never been obsessed with making things perfectly in time. That seemed like an obvious way to sort of mess this up, would be to
clean it up,
edit everything just because you can. We didn't edit everything into sort of perfection at all on this record. The opposite, really, sort of leaving things as sort of as unkempt and sort of au naturel as you could, really.